Wembley's nightmare fuel for,
Right.
for Kepa.
I thought City played brilliantly. That's shades of the old City we used to see. And I thought Pep got this perfectly right. And I'm scared to think of what the team looks like without Szoboszlai or Van Dijk.
No one wants to win a trophy that way, especially a big
No.
international tournament like this. The
Yeah.
players don't want that.
Hey guys, welcome back to the TPG podcast, The Beautiful Game. I'm Jordan. This is Graham. Um, and we just came off watching the Carabao Cup final. Man City versus Arsenal. Arsenal's first chance at silverware this season. It looks like they will win silverware, but not today. City played phenomenal, especially second half turned it on. I want to hear a little bit more about Graham's thoughts about um, how that game came to be.
I'll be, Arsenal had weird tactics. It seemed from the start they were just dropped off. They were parking the bus from the most of it. And I don't again just didn't get anything going. I think there's a reason they're called the corner kick or free kick merchants this season so far. As you see, besides again their most dangerous opportunities. I know Trafford had a couple good saves early on. But again, yeah, I don't know. Arsenal boring to watch, and Man City, I would say that's the best they've looked in the last month for sure.
In a while. Absolutely. I mean, we both watched this game, and I just thought I thought first half Arsenal started off really positive, and then as the half wore on, you can kind of feel City grow into the game. Like they started to have a little bit more patterns of play, and then they started to have Arsenal kind of sat back, and that's when I felt like Arsenal kind of needed to get to the half sort of thing because they dominated the first bit. I remember in the first half, I don't know if I think it was Havertz had three shots on target within 5 seconds, and Trafford made a huge triple save. And that is what I would say was Arsenal's best chance of the game, which is, if you're an Arsenal fan, you're probably pretty frustrated that that was the best chance considering it was so early and they could have kept on piling pressure. But I thought City played great going into halftime. And then when they came out second half, I mean, you watched it. I mean, they just started piling on the pressure.
I don't know. I was gonna just to touch on your Arsenal point. I don't know if Saka or Gyökeres had a shot on target today. I don't actually
Yeah.
know. Yeah, but again, I don't know. As we saw, Bernardo Silva, unbelievable on both sides of the ball. In my opinion, it's easy. I mean, I think Nico O'Reilly's going to get all the praise, obviously, for the two goals. I mean, again, people, it's like the tapping goals. People are going to complain, but he had to be in the right place at the right time to score
Oh yeah.
both of those. I also wanted to. I have to. Nathan Ake was brilliant today.
Yeah,
Brilliant.
I thought Ake played fantastic. I thought Kusanov got that early yellow. Was kind of just diving into challenges, but Ake was always there to settle him back down. And by the time the second half started, I saw considerably less of them. They would get possession about halfway line and they would redistribute, and then you just saw the City machine kind of fur on, where they were just attack after attack. It felt like if Arsenal didn't get out of there soon, that something was going to happen. And to be fair, this has been the story of Arsenal this season: is that they can sit in and soak pressure and then hit you back once that sort of tidal wave of chances and final third opportunities come. But the thing that really, I'd say that obviously the turning point here is Kepa for the third time in a Carabao Cup final with an error that leads to his team losing. I mean, that's you feel for it.
Wembley's nightmare fuel
Right.
for Kepa. Um, I don't. Yeah, it was just they never got going, and I also think like obviously Shirky as well. You got to give him some props as well. He was Semenyo as well. I mean, obviously Semenyo, I think playing out wide and stuff like talking on as many chances to really go at it.
Mm.
Again, and it also shows how good City is. Like Rodri, as much as like we've seen how good he's been before, you didn't see much of him. I mean, obviously he's there and he's
Mm.
getting touches on the ball, but he's not like. That's where for me what was good to see again in Holland. He's going to be battling with Gabriel. I think
Yeah.
every time they play, and you know what? I think he may not be scoring as much right now, but City like they won and it's a cup final. That's all that matters.
It's all that matters. And they had that wave, right? And you just felt like they were going to score from that. But obviously Arsenal's had this where they can soak up the pressure, take it back the other end, and then they could change the game out of not playing well. We saw it against Everton, they didn't play well, and they won that game. Um, I also thought Rodri, as much as you criticized him last week against West Ham, where he was slow, he just looked sluggish. I thought the fact that we didn't notice him is good, like because he is there to mop up fires and stuff. And I thought that he was pretty integral in keeping the possession going from about the 50th minute to about the 65th, where both goals came.
Oh, yeah. He's arguably still the best CDM. I without a doubt. I mean, everyone, they're human at the end of the day. They're gonna have bad games, and
Yeah.
again, even like it's interesting with Nico O'Reilly because I know he really came on to see in the left back position, but he's getting like high up the pitch.
He's a
Um,
yeah, great box crasher. Like he has good instincts in the box, which
it,
is
it will be interesting to see where with England. Obviously, I think he's going to be going to the World Cup. I think it'll be interesting to see where he plays if he even gets into the starting 11. I mean, I don't exactly know, but yeah, again, he's scored. I think he's had a couple games now this season with 2 goals. I'm trying to remember the other game he scored
you're
two.
right. He did have another one with a brace, and I'm struggling to remember it as well.
Yeah, I mean I remember it, but I don't know exactly who it was against. But again, yeah, he's been again one of those young guys coming on the scene. He's been consistently good. I don't think he's had any bad games where it's been, but I also think that's just if you look at the guys around him, and like we were talking about last week or whatever with the medium core and all of that stuff. I still don't think City are in that realm, but yeah, he looks great, and hopefully, I think they were saying this will be a big turning point going into the final part of the season. It'll be interesting to see how they do against each other in the next game as well.
Absolutely, and I think the we were talking about the medium core, about consistency, and still they don't have that old consistency, right? Like I still don't really have many doubts about Arsenal winning the title this year. I think they would have to screw up in a monumental way just to get City back in it, and I don't see City rattling off the last 7 or 8 games in a row. With that being said, it's tough to count out Pep. And what I like about Pep is that he can have these guys come in from the youth academy in City where they've kind of revitalized what it means to come from the youth academy there. I mean, think of the guys. Foden, Palmer. I'm going to remember more as we keep going. I remember Oscar Bob was quite good. And
Yeah,
yeah,
where even is he now? He's Brighton now.
I think he's on loan somewhere in the lower, not the lower tier, but lower in the league in Premier League.
Yeah, I
Brentford.
don't.
I
Oh
know
yeah, yeah. You have McAtee as well. He's at Forest, but I don't even think he's getting minimal minutes there.
he's getting minimal minutes, but I think he's a talented player. But I enjoy the fact that he brings in the youth talent and can play them. And as much as, Arsenal, it was a failure today, as much as it is, I appreciate that Arteta doesn't bench some guys he'd probably start in the Premier League. I think it's really
Yeah,
important that the guys who get you to the final in Carabao Cup, that some of them still feature and still play. Because we saw last year what happened with Liverpool, where we had some of the younger guys get us there, and then we fielded a completely strong lineup in the final, and we looked sluggish and slow, and the guys who got us there couldn't finish it off. It's actually, I feel worse if I'm rooting for a team if the kids get us there and then the grown-ups can't finish it off, sort of thing.
yeah, that's
Especially
fair. I don't know. I
Carabao.
think it would have been nice even to see Max Dowman go on today. I think it would have been another record for the youngest player to ever play in a cup final. But again, I don't know if he really was suited considering the amount of pressure Arsenal were they were
Yeah,
soaking up pretty much. I feel like it's tough for him to, and he's dangerous in the final third, especially.
yeah.
Obviously, it's 2-0 already as well. But I mean, the subs today didn't really do much either. Madueke seemed off.
No. I think Madueke coming on at like a tie game or down one.
More
It was,
confident, more time to go one on one.
yeah, and they've done this before where they put on Madueke just to get something out of the game, and I guarantee Pep has prepared that so properly where they know Madueke comes on and they're just gonna force feed him and see what he can do. Because as you said, I thought Gyökeres started well. I thought he had good hold up play. Um, and then when they lost control of the game, he couldn't get a touch.
Yeah,
He couldn't get a touch, and as a lot of the great strikers do, they can find a way to shield the ball and kind of hand it off and relieve some of that pressure and then go up the pitch. I thought he had realistically a pretty bad game past the first 20-25 minutes. And that's kind of where I thought maybe someone like Jesus or Havertz up top with someone else behind them maybe would have got them more of that sort of control of the game as they lost control in the second half.
yeah.
I thought City played brilliantly. That's shades of the old City we used to see. And I thought Pep got this perfectly right. And I think Pep going into this summer where he may not come back to City, this will feel sweet to him to actually get this one over on Arsenal because
Huge confidence boost going into the last bit of the season for sure. And I was going to ask you this too. I thought this was Declan Rice's worst game this season by far.
I gotta be honest, I didn't see him.
That's part of it too, though.
See someone, I didn't see him.
Just I would say that I was the most surprised about how much he gave away possession for me at
Yes,
least.
yes, and when he doesn't play well, sometimes you notice his set pieces. And one thing I actually do want to say is City handled all the set pieces brilliantly.
Very well.
I didn't feel like they had much of a kick on these set pieces as they usually do Arsenal, and that's obviously something you're going to focus on considering how good they are at those.
Calafiori, I think, yeah, Calafiori. I know he hit the post and the one, Trossard almost tipped it in.
Yeah.
It was 78th minute, give or take, I think, yeah. But also, I mean, Arsenal, there was that weird spell kind of after the 75th minute, but again, they dropped so deep, and I thought our Arteta's tactics were weird. And it took them too long to finally go at City. And again, I mean, if you look at it, Arsenal come off Champions League week, they're on to the next round, and Man City 2-1 loss at home to Real Madrid. Early exit in the Champions League. It's you never know how players are going to react, and again, like you said, City were brilliant. There's not much else to say.
I thought, as weird as it is to say, considering Arsenal's kind of waiting for that big trophy they can hold up, and Carabao Cup is nothing to balk at. Like any trophy you can gather is something that you can build to the next, right? They've had community shields. They had an FA Cup a while back when Arteta still got in, but that wasn't his finished team. And as much as you'd feel like Arsenal needed this, you felt like City needed it, and they played like it too. They played like they needed it. They know they're at tough odds to win the league. They know they have to go through Anfield next week. As much as that we're not playing well, they have to go through Anfield and the FA Cup, following the international break. So this was huge for them. And a huge confidence boost going into the latter stages. Like I said, I don't think Arsenal are going to squander the league this season. I think they've done it too many times in second place, but this is a big one for Pep and for City. This is they're going to love this one.
I'm holding on hope that Arsenal choke again. It's that Patrice Evra quote just lives rent free in my mind. Arsenal, it's just the Netflix one. Always waiting for the next season.
Yeah,
I don't know. They have to bounce back, and I think the next Premier League game will be a big test to see kind of how strong their mentality is. But I'm with you. Ultimately, I think Arsenal will end up winning the league. But again,
So why don't we get into the relegation battle a little bit? Because we had two games on prior to that. We both kind of split. We watched each other's game. You watched the West Ham. I watched the Tottenham. Why don't you talk a little bit about West Ham's performance? Because I didn't watch the game, but as I was looking at the stats throughout the game, it kind of feels like
I mean, unfortunately, I could argue the first 25 minutes were really, really bad. I know I've seen a lot of the fans online as well, but in my opinion, I didn't go into today thinking we were gonna win, and I think that you have to have a sense of realism as well. A point I would have been stoked with, but again, in the relegation battle and today, there's just I have many topics. I feel like Mavropanos, I thought he was very good today, very good. I mean, yes, we did lose. We're missing Somerville. That's a big thing.
Yes,
huge thing. And yeah, Bowen out wide for me is just not working. In my opinion, at least, he's obviously struggling, and he's going into the England team as well.
Yeah,
but I think he's going to be more effective centrally. That's the biggest thing. And I don't know I know our next few games we play Wolves next week. That's a must win, and then Palace after. So I would say those two are definitely must win games. But again, like Aston Villa are a good squad. Like they're battling for Champions League. I think people forget about that as well, and I can get upset about it. But
yeah, it makes complete sense. I mean, that's a tough away day for them. I mean, Villa's been struggling recently, but you're chasing top four. You see everyone around you drop points. Villa's going to be up for that one, and they want Europe more than anything with their current project, and kind of seeing everyone struggle around them and seeing where they actually were. Villa, like if you went back 4 or 5 weeks, Villa were in the title race. As crazy as that is to say, they were only 2 points off of City, who is only 5 points off of Arsenal. So this was not a team. This is not a team that doesn't know how to win. Like they are a good team, and a similar kind of pattern as we discussed with City, with West Ham's game against City, is the fact that you guys really try to soak up the pressure for the first little bit, and then try to see what you can get out of the game against tougher teams that'll look different against a Wolves or a Leeds. But for right now, it seems like that's the plan of attack for Nuno. And without Somerville, I don't think he can afford to do anything else.
No, I also our back three's been solid recently, and Tadibo was out injured in the warm up, and Potts came in. So I mean, wow. Freddie Potts. I mean, I think it's an academy product as well. But again, he hasn't played much recently, so it's tough. And obviously, he was subbed off at halftime, and Callum Wilson game. But even I wanted to speak like Aston Villa's first goal, like it was a great set piece. McGinn, I think it was Sancho in the corner, and then he played it across top of the 18, and McGinn just whipped it perfectly in.
Yeah.
Um, but again, yeah, I don't know. It was tough. We don't. It's classic West Ham. You drop deep, and then you're not creating any chances. And if we do get a counter attack, there's no decisiveness, and it's just
Yeah.
we go forward, and then it's Bowen dribbling out, and it's but again, I feel like it's also kind of similar in the sense to last weekend that yes, Forest. I guess we can. I want to kind of switch into that as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
But I feel like not a lot has kind of changed. Yes, Forest did beat Spurs, and obviously I think it's between West Ham, Spurs, Leeds, and Forest on who's going to go down. Obviously, huge win for Forest, but again, in West Ham's, I don't know, a 1-1 draw probably I would have been happier with for sure.
I mean, yeah, getting any point
Yeah.
here obviously would have been big. And when the two of the four are playing each other, you know you're going to have to pick up something, or else you're going to lose ground somewhere, or both places. And unfortunately for Tottenham, I mean, they're right back in the thick of things. I thought that maybe their trip to Anfield would have spurred something on. That was a pretty similar game to the game where Palace came in and won 3-1. Um,
Yeah.
they don't look solid at the back, and just wasn't a good showing at all. And they don't look together. They don't look like a team they just look like rock bottom confidence. And last week that would have been concerning as well. But this week I feel like it's more concerning. You go
I
to
was
the field, you grab a point, and you still look the same. And Tudor doesn't look like he's learned anything.
no.
So it's now
I
you're
was
looking.
surprised more in the fact that they beat Atletico Madrid 3-2, who are
Yeah.
great squad. Like
Mhm.
first of all, and then you come at home, you do all the social media posts hyping it up like it's a cup final, but like
No.
and first of all, I don't know if Xavi was injured or why Xavi Simmons. I don't know why he didn't start.
Yeah.
I don't know what the tactics were behind that. And then again, like I mean, props to Forrest, handled the pressure, came in away 3-0. Gibbs White haunting Spurs again.
Ironic.
Obviously with the transfer.
Ironic.
But yeah, I don't know. I got to give props to Forest as well. That they played. I was kind of watching it on both sides. I was mainly watching the West Ham game, but from like what I saw, they looked good. But yeah, I'm with you on that. They look soulless. Like it just looks like there's no drive, and obviously, like I mean, yeah, you get knocked out of the Champions League, but I feel like with those guys and the caliber of players that they do have, and obviously the wages that some of them are making, like it's dreadful.
It is a thing, right, where when you're part of a bigger club, and Tottenham, we can people take the mick out of them that they're a small club and that they've been here for relatively little time near the top. But they are part of that sort of big six that we remember from 10 years ago going
Oh
forward.
yeah,
They're a big club. Realistically, they are. And when the big clubs are kind of chasing a top four or a title, that the higher wages, the bigger player depth, that sort of thing can come in handy. We have rarely seen the case where the top, like a big six club is now threatened by relegation, like genuinely threatened by relegation, because the reverse often happens. Because you have all these guys on big wages. If there's no confidence, there's no hope, there's no togetherness, it can multiply so quick. And you see this at home. I actually think I'll run through the schedule at some point. But I actually feel like they have better chances to pick up points away from home, because when they play at home, like today, like Palace, you can feel the anxiety around the ground.
oh yeah.
You can feel it's an audible thing you can hear is the anxiety around the ground, where it's not just silence, it's pure unadulterated anxiety. So it's tougher for them to play at home down the stretch here. And if we go through their away games, they're not easy.
No. Again, I was even surprised how like Kolo Muani, I know he had a good game against Atletico midweek. I don't know why they don't play Solanke and him up top together. I don't know, like two strikers. I feel like you'd want to like a game like this, like you want to go at them. And I don't that could be my opinion, but it's also like it's again, I don't want to get too off topic and we'll go on to there, but it's weird for me that it's like Solanke's been called up to the England team and like they're in a relegation battle. Obviously, yes, you could say, but then you have like Ollie Watkins. Yes, he scored today, and it's been a bit of a dry spell. But then you have Villa, who are like they just won midweek as well, and they're fighting in the top four position. So I mean, that's a whole different thing. But again, I don't know. It just looks like even like Tell, he just like they just don't. It looks like they don't care, and I know they do in a sense. They're professionals, but they're just considering like how they blew it up on Twitter. Oh, this is a big game. The support they got coming into the stadium too. I don't know if you saw the amount of fan that the flares and everything they had before the game.
Oh God.
Like
That
it was crazy. I was like, okay, well, this is a lot of talking. We're gonna and
that
then
yeah, that feels
3-0 too at home.
that feels manufactured. Like they don't do flares normally. You shouldn't do what you don't do normally
No,
as a cover to get the,
and the fans were leaving at like the 70th minute. I mean, it's not. I mean, it would have been worse if they're like down 3-0 at halftime or something. But
yeah.
I don't know. And then yeah, it's tough considering the decline that they've been on. I mean,
Mhm.
yeah, they were. I mean, they were in a Champions League final. How many years ago? It
I
was.
know. I know that was 7 years ago. They were in the
And
Champions League final. They were in the champions. They're in the Champions League this year in the round of
what I
16.
found so crazy about this, like obviously you can joke about like a side like Spurs going down or like an Everton going almost kind of going down last year
Yeah.
in the sense of that, but I don't think anyone has expected it to go as far as it's gone. Especially now, like we're 7 games left. Yeah, I think it's 7, and
Mhm.
like they are genuinely in a relegation battle, and there is a chance Tottenham could get relegated, which
And like
is
yeah,
crazy.
listen to their last seven in the schedule, right? I was saying how away from home they actually may have more success. They're away to Sunderland, not an easy place to play right now. They just come off winning Newcastle. We'll talk about that a little bit. They're at home to Brighton. Brighton streaking, just beat Liverpool, had some wins before that. One at Sunderland. You have away to Wolves, which Wolves looks like they're like ready to piss everyone off on the way to the championship. Genuinely everyone. They're trying to take a piece off of everyone
And
before they
some of those guys are going to try and earn their Premier League contracts. Some of them, because now it's like, okay, can I be individually good, and can another team maybe come pick me up? Because Wolves are going to have to let some of them go for sure.
And I love the Wolves coach that came in. I think they're doing the absolute most to spur themselves on to come right back up,
They're going to cause problems. I
important.
agree heavily with you on that. They're going to cause a lot of problems in the next few weeks, I think.
Absolutely. And then when you go past Wolves, away to Villa, they'll be chasing top four, top five. You have home to Leeds, which is a massive one. But as we saw today, when you're facing a relegation battle team at home and you're Tottenham, it can't go the same way this one went, or else we're really talking about them going down. And to follow, they go to Stamford Bridge,
Yeah.
where if you're a Chelsea fan and you have the opportunity to send Spurs down, I mean, the
Yeah.
teams be up for that. They'll be chasing top four, top five, and then you have home to Everton, who's playing
And
fantastic.
Everton are peaking too right now a little bit. They looked good as well.
And anything can happen down the stretch. The schedule doesn't prove how many points they're going to get, but when you're just looking at the pure outlook, I'd say West Ham is probably the favorite to go down right now, but
Oh yeah.
that could change after the international break really quickly. Because let's look at West Ham's. West
I
Ham,
also don't think though out of the bottom, like I would say realistically right now is Leeds, Forest, Spurs, or West Ham going down. Like if you look like because West Ham we have to beat Wolves. I don't know if it's home or away. I think it's at home.
yep,
Yeah. Then we have Palace, but I mean again, Palace that's a
present.
must-win game, and then Everton, Brentford, Arsenal, Newcastle, 4 like tough games. Like and if you're a West like Everton, okay, maybe a draw, like Brentford draw, Arsenal, Newcastle. I don't know. Again, it's also going to be depending on. It's weird. I feel like there's so many teams that are like chasing the top 4 almost, and then you have like teams trying to survive.
Yeah,
And then again, Leeds to end off the season. I genuinely think I know I was telling you before. I think there's a good chance like it goes down to like the last game of the season, and that would be
yeah, absolutely.
crazy. West Ham versus Leeds, who goes down? And again, if you look at like Forest, they got Villa,
Mhm.
Burnley, Sunderland, Chelsea, Newcastle, Man United, and Bournemouth. So that
Yours is
it's
kind of easier, but it seems like they figured something out to me at least. They played
yeah, it's
against, I think us a while ago. They got a point at the Etihad, then they go to Spurs Stadium and they take three. So they have that little bit of separation, and their next 2 games are at home, one against basically an already
yeah.
Burnley. So they look after today, their odds have gone tremendously up, and I feel like Leeds is as well.
They have
They're
United,
squeaking
Wolves.
high, but they're
Yeah,
getting the points.
I would say Leeds have the toughest end of the season, probably out of the 4, because Man United, Wolves, Bournemouth, Burnley, Spurs, Tottenham, Brighton, and then end off the year with West Ham. I think Leeds have one more game to
Yeah,
play.
that's an interesting one. Going to United right now is not.
But yeah, for the
Yeah,
most part, I would say Forest, Spurs, and West Ham, their end to the season's pretty well balanced. I would say for the most part, if you were to compare all of them, it would be pretty tough to go 1, 2, 3. But again,
yeah, because
it's so
everyone.
wide open, and I don't know Spurs. I hope they go down, but I think it's going to go to the end. I think it's
It's
Forest. This is huge for them today. Like
it's
huge.
huge and just massively send Spurs back into panic mode for sure. Because I don't know if Tudor stays, but I think let's
But
move on to the early. Do you have another note to that one?
I was just gonna say, I know he didn't speak in the post match conference or whatever. I think there was a family situation. But then some people were I don't call some people were saying it's because they're gonna fire him today. But like, if there is something with his family, I generally hope everything's all right. But
I didn't
that's
know
just
that.
yeah,
I didn't know that. Wow.
yeah. So
Um, yeah, that's a whole situation. That's Spurs. Morning game. We had the Tyneside Derby again for the second time in a year, whereas I think we didn't have one for about a decade there. I didn't get to watch much of this. I saw the highlights. I wish I kind of saw it because genuinely these games are fun when the derbies are played. It would be the same thing as a West Ham Millwall where they don't play for a
yeah.
long time and then you finally get it. And to have Sunderland win both games this season, I mean, we'll dive a little bit into Newcastle. What do you think of Newcastle this season?
Inconsistent.
Very.
But I'll be honest. I watched it in bits again. I was doing, but I would, for me, the only good thing to come out of this game, I would say for Newcastle. I mean, in the last little bit, I think it's Anthony Gordon picking up his form a little bit.
Yeah.
That's obviously a goal against Chelsea. I think I mean, Barcelona, he didn't in midweek, but I mean, with England, I guess that's the one positive. But again, yeah, it's weird. Like Barcelona go there and it's a 1-1 draw, and then you're losing 2-1 to Sunderland. Obviously,
I
it's a
know.
derby, but Newcastle just reek inconsistency for me. They're one of those teams like they can compete with the best, but then like they're also like it's a war against a team they should be. Because in all honesty, in my opinion, with the money and like I want to talk about like again how poor their transfer window was this year. Just like considering all the money they got for Isaac and everything, it's just like there obviously there's injuries as well.
Mhm.
But again, yeah, they just didn't seem into it. But I also think this is again where some of these players aren't used to playing in multiple competitions. So I think they're also still in an adjustment period as well. So you got to give a bit of slack to them. I think yes, they're professionals and they're getting help,
Mhm.
but from my opinion, at least, it's just been inconsistent. And again, they need to be in the top. Like they should be fighting for the top four.
Or at
They should.
least Europe.
They're a great side. I think they
They're a
are.
great side. I really admire what they have at St. James's Park. I think it's an impossibly tough place to play. I think they have workers. I think they have a lot of guys who run their asses off for the team. To go along with that, I mean, yeah, I actually have less blame for the players about navigating the schedule and more for how their transfer window went to lean into that because they've waited too long to get rid of Isak, and it's probably pretty heavy-handed as a Liverpool fan saying they waited too long to give it to us. Um, but once you find out he doesn't want to stay, and then you see a couple weeks of him just not showing up to training, you you just got to get rid because unfortunately, what happened for them is they made a lot of late transfer window purchases that were more costly than they would have been if they got him earlier, if they wanted him earlier. But if they got rid of Isak at the beginning of the window, who knows who they would have came up with? Because Voltamata, I like Voltamata. I don't know if he's going to
He's got
get
to settle in. He's got to settle in. Injuries too.
injuries too, absolutely, but they don't have the strength of depth. I mean, they've played Alanga multiple games in a row here, and I don't think he's a bad player.
He was awful today.
Like I'm getting tired of saying how bad he's been playing. He's
I know
not
it's weird.
in the squad at all. He looked so much better at Forest, even but looked better at United. But here at Newcastle, he's right up there for worst signing of the season.
Again,
Um,
I think they paid what 60 million for him. Maybe
somewhere around that. Somewhere
but
around.
again, I don't know how he goes from 2 goals at the Camp Nou
Mhm.
to. I mean, again, it's also the quick turnaround. And I think that's. I mean, he was also at United, so I don't know. I mean, United have also been in Europe, in and out of Europe.
Yeah.
Just trying to think because he wasn't playing a lot there near the end, obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't. It's Anthony Gordon. It's weird. Like he had multiple occasions today. He was in the 18-yard box, skied it over. But again, that's where it's like that's the difference between like, in my opinion, a world class striker or a world class winger, let's just say, and like a proper winger or whatever with him. And I think that's where he struggled a lot. Is yeah, he's scoring now, but like you got to at least get it on target. Like I don't know if I can. I'll maybe put a couple of the clips or whatever, but yeah, there was at least two where he like top of the 18. You have to at least on target.
Yeah, and going back to a little bit of the guys they signed, a guy who could come off the bench and possibly give them something that maybe they could have gotten the transfer window. Instead, they went and got Wissa. Johan Wissa. And if you compare Newcastle to Brentford going into the season, I think most people would have told you Newcastle's going to get somewhere in Europe. They'll finish in the top seven. They'll have a decent year or a great year. Like that's probably what people thought even after Isak left because they're a good institution.
Yeah.
Right. What people thought about Brentford was going to be relegation threatened. That's what everyone thought preseason, right? Because you lost Thomas Frank, you've employed the set piece coach as the coach, and you've lost Wissa, and I think they lost someone else. I think they lost Norgard. As
Ivan Toney, was that, when did he go to
That was a
Saudi?
while ago. He went to
Yeah,
Saudi
that
a
was,
while ago.
yeah, yeah.
But then what happens is they wildly overpay for Wissa. I forget the exact fee, but it was too much. He's hardly featured. He was kind of injured when they signed him. And then who does Brentford go and get? They have the Brazilian guy who's I think second in the scoring list.
Thiago,
So
yeah. He just got his Brazil call up too.
and that goes to show you, like when you are prepared in the transfer window for anything, you have your next prospects lined up, and you're not afraid to let go of someone who's probably very meaningful to you as a team, kind of trying to stick it around the Premier League and maybe move up. They were so well set up, and Newcastle funded that, and to a certain extent, Liverpool funded it because we paid a lot of money for Isak, and then Newcastle kind of wasted it. So
Yeah,
they're gonna have to go back in the summer, and they're gonna have to reinvest because the team right now, depth wise, is not good enough to be where they want to be for sure. They're in 12th.
again, did Brentford brought in Henderson this year too, right?
Yeah,
Is he-
great signing.
Yeah, he's. I mean, again, you're gonna get a consistent midfielder. I mean, obviously, we all have our opinions on why he went to Saudi Arabia. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't blame any of them, but again, he left pretty quickly. He was there, I don't even think 6 months, and he's already back in the Prem. And I think, again, I've always thought he's just been like a good, like you never hear anything about him in the media. He's a workhorse, won so much with Liverpool, and I think the experience. I think
Mhm.
his experience for sure has probably helped Brentford a lot. And yeah, again, Brentford great so far this season. I mean, obviously, I think there's a tie. Yeah, they just tied Fulham. I think it was this weekend. Yeah, was it Fulham?
Leeds.
Leeds. Sorry, yeah,
Always
Leeds.
Leeds.
Yeah,
And
I mean, I
yeah,
watched a bit of that game too, but yeah, I mean, you can't complain with. I'm with you on how well they've handled their transfer window, and it'll be interesting to see what Newcastle do after the season. Obviously, with the new money in Saudi, I think they're funded now by someone in Saudi Arabia, I
yeah,
believe.
yeah.
Um,
I forget the exact person, but they're funded by the Saudis. And
because
yeah,
I mean, even with Newcastle, that's what I want also to touch on. That's what I forgot was Lewis Hall. I,
yes, he's been phenomenal,
he's
right?
been phenomenal. Like he shut them all down pretty much in that first leg, and yes, they lost 7-2, or I think
Big
it was.
mistake, right? But he did play very well.
Yeah, I thought he played well again, and I think he's gonna have a crack at that England left back spot for sure. I mean, Nico O'Reilly too, maybe. That's the thing. You don't know if they play him there, but I think considering because he came from Chelsea. And I know he had trouble getting into Newcastle at the beginning, and then he was kind of in and out. And I think this is the first time he's actually been consistently playing, which is
Yeah,
awesome to see. And yeah, again, just puts his head down, workhorse, and yeah,
I appreciate watching him. I think he's a great player, and I think England probably, if you had to look at one spot in the England squad and go, who's going to play here, because you're kind of sure of other places on the pitch, you'd probably pick left back. I think Lewis Hall, I think Nico O'Reilly, and I think Luke Shaw are all decent options there.
and Luke Shaw didn't even get the call up.
And I think that's also a portion of Tuchel moving on, right? Like Luke Shaw can play well. He has the experience, but I also think that also comes down to one form, but two, how long are they going to be in the England program? How long can we set this team up for success now, but also success later? So I
I
think
think
Lewis Hall and Nico O'Reilly are perfect for that.
you need the young guys to come in. I think you need the hunger, and I think that's what Tuchel's doing because I think it's like they have one squad, I believe. I think it's 20 players or something for the first game, and then like they're bringing in 10 more after the first game. I
Yeah.
think I watched in the press conference of some sort, just to get another look. And again, I still think Watkins may have a chance of the World Cup. You could maybe see the same with Trent.
Yeah.
I don't actually know. I mean, he played well against City again,
It is
so
wild to see Trent left out of that squad. I mean, we can
yeah,
just, it is
I think it's a
left
mistake
out
in my
entirely.
opinion. But I think, and again, like if you look at it, Reece James is in there too because he's done. He got injured as well.
Did
He's
he? Oh my
he's
God.
out. Yeah, he's out for a few weeks. I think it's another hamstring injury. Again, he's another player too. If he could just stay fit, I think Reece James is great too. But
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I know we were feeling like maybe he got over those injury issues. I think a lot
I
of
know he's
people.
been playing well. I know, yeah, he was kind of at fault for that Newcastle goal a little
Mhm.
bit, just with marking wise. But yeah, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what. But again, these games are England. I think everyone's going to try and show, and Foden's got a lot to prove too. I don't want to get
He didn't
too
even
off.
feature today. I don't think. Maybe he came off the bench and I didn't
He got
notice.
5 minutes, I think, at the end.
Mm. Yeah, we'll talk a little bit. We'll talk way more in depth about the England squad at some other point, but
Yeah,
it is a little shocking seeing some of the omissions right now. Um,
yeah. But
let's why
I
don't we?
want to hear your input on Liverpool.
Oh God. Yeah, that's it's going to be a topic every week, I think, until not even until he's gone. It'll be a topic every week. I mean, to start with this weekend's performance, um, it was a severely tough watch. And again, it's the word I'm going to use pretty often. It was predictable. It was predictable. Whatever we decided to play midweek against Galatasaray, we did not show up with the same here. Salah was out, and all I heard of months ago was the fact that Salah was a big issue because he wasn't tracking back, and we had kind of gone over this a little bit last week. But even with Salah out, we didn't produce much of anything. And when we don't have that guy up top, and given Ekatike had to go out in the first 5 minutes, right?
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
tough.
but even then, like, we're not making a like for like substitution. We're subbing on Curtis Jones, and Curtis Jones is someone who Arnie quite noticeably doesn't like.
Yeah,
I don't know whether he said something to him. I don't know whether he just doesn't like the performances. I'd feel like if he said something to him, it's more logical to think that genuinely because Curtis Jones was playing so well up until we heard about those Inter Milan rumors late in January. So it's been a tough watch, and I don't know. I'm scared to think of what the team looks like without Szoboszlai or Van Dijk. I'm scared because those two are the most convincing, consistent guys in the team, but they can't get these guys to run. And I'll give you a stat here that's going to shock. I mean, people have seen this on Twitter already. We've been outran 27 out of the 31 Premier League games this season. 27 out of the 31 games we've been outran by the opponents. This week's opponents had James Milner, who's damn near 50 years old.
he's got to be the fittest player all the time. I'm just putting that out right now.
We have Danny Welbeck, who scored a brace against us, rightfully so, and could have had a third, right? So this is a team who is so predictable, even at the best of times, in being able to catch a result here or there where you look, oh wow, they actually look normal. We're back. We're back to looking how we've looked for months. It's shocking that we haven't gotten rid of the manager at this point. I just think it needs to be done. There needs to be a complete emotional overhaul of these players. Someone to kick them in the butt and say, let's go back to basics because we don't even do the basics well. Brighton could have won by more.
Do you think though? I was gonna ask you, like, do you think it's like the players are going into these games like, oh, we're just gonna beat Brighton because it's Brighton? I think I feel like Galatasaray. The reason I felt like you guys, because you had something to play for, was like, okay, we're down 1-0. We're at home. We gotta actually do something. Again, Brighton away. I mean, any away game in the Premier League, I think is tough without. But I don't know. I didn't watch the game. I obviously the highlights and all of that. But I feel like it's been a common theme this year of just the lack of determination from some of the players.
I think it trickles down a little bit. I don't think it stems from the fact they think they're just going to walk into Brighton, the MX, and win the game. I don't actually think that. What I do think is that if you see something that doesn't work often enough, as an individual, you know this. We know this. We've played the game before, right? If we've noticed something the team is doing is not working, that means I'm not going to sprint that extra sprint to keep the ball in. That means I'm not going to shut down this defender like I probably should. Individually, you stop doing your job as much because it's not that noticeable when you don't. But when you do, people will credit the finishing and the build-up play and the yada, 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 yada. But we're not doing the little things well, like really contesting a 50-50. That has a knock-on effect. And it's happened all season, where Van Dijk is trying his best to keep the squad together, but we're bowing out of 50-50s. We're losing them a lot. And when we move out the pitch, we don't have patterns of play, which is directly Arnie's fault. Because I don't know what our patterns of play are. Because we lost that game 2-1, and our only goal and our only real chance was Kirkez taking a chance over the top with the header. I know you probably just saw that from the
Well,
highlight.
I don't. I mean, I saw Konate ball watching and back post goal, and I mean, you could blame Van Dijk a bit for the second one. Obviously, Welbeck was in between him and I think Gravenberg. I
Yeah,
think it
yeah.
was. Yeah, obviously, but again, yeah, it's also Van Dijk's just playing so much. I think with him, you got to. It's also center half position. I think there's a higher likelihood of a mistake happening. Not that Van Dijk is making mistakes every week in or week out, but again, like they make mistakes.
Yeah.
And I also, again, I mean, Welbeck too. I think he's been. I'm surprised he hasn't even gotten a chance with England as well. I don't want to get too much off topic on that.
Mhm. Well,
But again, I'm
yeah.
with you on like Kirkez and like that. Obviously, if that's the only real chance they're getting. I mean, I did see McAllister did almost equalize on a header. I did see that.
Yes. Yeah, he did have a header, and McAllister's funny, right? Like he's a small little guy, but he's great in the air. He always gets there. But again, this goes back to the patterns of play and how we create chances. We don't have a methodology of how to do it.
So
It's
would you say it was a different team you saw Wednesday or Tuesday, whenever they played, versus this weekend?
I'd say it was a wholly different team, and I think I tweeted this actually. There's very few places in the footballing world where you can go into a competition in a place in a stadium where it can reignite what a team looks like from day to day. Because Anfield on a European night typically can get the players up and moving in a way that's wholly different. Because I think we had 5.5 XG somewhere around there in the entirety of the game. We could have scored more, which is crazy considering like we could have won by more than four.
Yeah.
Um, and I thought that Galatasaray is not a good away team. We saw it with Juve, right? Like they won their home fixture, then they went to away to Juve and won it in extra time after falling behind by 3 goals. So the mixture of Galatasaray not being a good away team, especially in the UCL, relying on their kind of gates of hell, and to be honest, Liverpool are a little bit the same this season, where we're a little bit relying European wise on coming to Anfield and using that energy, that fervent energy. And maybe I bought into it a little bit with Arnie because he was showing a little bit more emotion than he typically does. I almost feel like he felt threatened that his job could go there. Um, but we looked so much better. It reminded me a lot of the Real Madrid game from earlier this season, the group stages, where we play poorly either side of it, but in the middle we look and go, oh, they still know how to do it. Um, but again, when you don't have the consistency with it, you can't just flick a switch sometimes. Anfield's pretty special in that way. And again, this is the last thing I'll probably say about the differences between the two. Salah was played centrally. Salah was play. If you look at the heat map of his games this season, it's all down the wing. The heat map this time was central, where he didn't track back as much. Now I'm not going to take credit for that, but in general, like that's what we've been asking for. Play to Salah's strengths, and he had
It's
a horrible penalty, horrible.
like,
But in general, we looked more dangerous than we have at any point this season. It opened up Verts, it opened up Soboslai, and you know what we did? We played both of them in behind, our two best pressers, and we finally put pressure on a back line instead of just pressing with one or two guys, then
and
breaking it, and then
I know like on the lineups and stuff. Obviously, it looks like Salah's like kind of like playing like out wide or whatever. But I will say it was like, for example, the one game against Wolves, like he was like on the touchline like the whole
yeah.
game.
And we've
And then
had
I noticed from the bits of the Galatasaray, yes, he's still wide, but he's more of like the inside of like the 18-yard box of like the field. He's playing more in there. And obviously, like we saw the Salah classic goal, almost like Arjen Robben. It's like identical.
loves
Just
to cut it and bending it around the post.
yeah,
Loves
just.
bending around the post.
But I don't know. Your next Champions League. How are you feeling going into the next round of the Champions League? Because I think it's PSG, is it not? Is it
Yeah,
just
it is. I think.
Parc des Princes will be tough because I mean, PSG are now getting into form. I think a little bit.
Oh yeah.
I know they had a little bit of a dry spell, obviously, but I mean, they walked over Chelsea like nothing.
Yeah, I think Liverpool PSG is going to go exactly how I think it's going to go, unless there is a manager change. I think that's the only thing that will send us through to the next round. Now, it's the Champions League. Like I said with Anfield on European nights, it can change games. But PSG's came to Anfield and won there last season when we
Yeah.
were playing pretty well, right? With
Yeah.
under Arnie, with maybe a little bit of the hangover of the Klopp team, which it usually takes about a year to get over the hangover of the last coach, because they'll institute some things, and if you have a new coach come in, some of those things still linger until you get to about that year stage, right? So we
Yeah.
a lot of Klopp tendencies about our finishing, about our patterns of play that we heavily relied on. And if you look last year, Salah was on fire. We have rarely seen someone take it upon themselves to win the league doing so much than Salah did last year. And then, this year, and the last thing I'll harp on about Slot, because he was asked about this in the press. You know how much I love watching in the press. Um,
I think it's it. You're
like in the press, someone asked him about how Salah was played more centrally against Galatasaray in the pregame for the Brighton game, and he said, "Oh, something along the lines of that's not something we're going to do that often. We have to do that out of necessity." He doesn't see it. He doesn't see it in the way that Salah needs to play up top, right? And maybe this is something he's thinking about in future because I doubt Salah stays longer than this season. But for right now, Salah is the best bet you have centrally, especially now. Ekitike just goes down injured. Isak has been reported that he's back, but he will
it'll be
not
a couple weeks without a doubt.
at least. He'll
Yeah.
come off the bench at best. So if you're not going to play him up top, who are we playing Curtis Jones up there? Are we making Rio play out of position? I mean, Gakpo's going to start there. But again, like in the Brighton game, complete non-factor. Complete and utter non-factor.
So is it Shabby time?
The kid, because he's just going to keep on getting harped by the media here and by
Yeah.
Liverpool fans, me included. But he's just a non-factor right now, and he's being forced to play. So, I mean,
Let me ask you this though. Let me ask you this: is it Shabby time? Is that who you want?
yes, I've been quite open about what I want here, and people have told me for months I'm crazy. I still think Stevie G needs to take it till the end of the season, and then we can negotiate with Shabby right away.
Where is Gerard right now?
Nowhere. He's nowhere. He left his Saudi job early in the season. This
Why
season.
did I think he went back to Rangers for a bit? Maybe
No,
maybe
that was rumored that he may, and then he decided to turn it down. And genuinely, my thinking around that is he did not want to be in a job with Liverpool playing the way we are.
He's probably waiting. He's probably waiting.
I just think he's been outwardly saying it for forever. If Liverpool need me to do the job, I will do it for as long as I need to, as long as you guys like. I will not complain when I need to go. He is there to serve the club, and considering we needed a complete emotional overhaul, more than anything, we just need the players to play for the badge a little bit. That's it. It doesn't take more than that. If you look at what Carrick's done for United, not much has changed. He's let Bruno go free roll, and look how they're playing. It doesn't take X, Y, and Z and tactics, and like we don't need the tactics to be the only thing that matters here. It matters about passion matters. The ability to run matters. Outrunning your opponent matters. Playing for the badge, playing for the fans who show up. That is all very important stuff that we are severely lacking. So we need it badly.
In my opinion, too, I feel like if you guys are going to blow it up, you need to do it soon. Because obviously,
we should.
No, I know I'm with you on that, but I'm like the closer you're getting into you have 7 games left and you have Champions League quarterfinals coming up. I'm like, what are we? You're going to just do a couple more weeks and you guys going to draw a loss and blow it up with 3? I feel like at that point it's going to be tough. I feel like right now, obviously with the next Champions League draw coming up and all of that, if you were to do it now, I feel like the players okay, we gotta. And then you also even with you guys, I don't know. I just feel like Curtis Jones too. He's trying to prove it. It's always weird going into a World Cup summer, I find, because a lot of guys everyone in the team, as much as they're trying to win and all of that, you also have as professionals, you want to play too. So I think you're going to have a lot of individual battles as well. And I think you guys need that. I think you need competition. And I don't know how much you can maybe speak a little bit. I don't know how much is the squad. Obviously with Rio, I feel like that's been my biggest thing from what I've watched. I feel like he's come on, he's been the best player and he needs to play more. Yeah. But I just think it's always good to have, and that's why I feel like some of those teams, why City was so successful and why Real Madrid and these other ones, just you have competition within, and it's they're playing who's playing better. And I think that's what Tuchel's doing with England, and that's why I'm excited because he's going off of form and not off of legacy, I would say.
What they've done.
I don't know if legacy is the right word, maybe, or let's just say history. But yeah, it's again, Bellingham needs to get fit. If Bellingham's not fit going into the World Cup, I don't think you can start him. I mean, yes, he's one of the higher, but again, obviously he gets going and all of that. But I don't know. It's weird.
Absolutely. I mean, I hope Jones goes. I think it's been a weird year for him because he's actually played quite well when he started, and then whatever happened, and he has been left out of the lineup ever
Yeah,
since.
he's been professional about it. I haven't heard him
No,
whining about
whatever
it
he's
this
done, it's
year.
probably been behind closed doors if he did anything, but clearly there's something that's happened
He
there.
probably wanted to go. I imagine he probably told Slot he wanted to go, and then it probably just
I
didn't.
know, but I'd feel as if a guy from Liverpool who's always dreamed of playing for Liverpool would only debate going if he felt
World
like
Cup.
there was no other option there, and he felt like it was going downhill. Because there's something about this slot era this season that feels a little ominous that there's way more under the veil than we know. Liverpool's very good at keeping everything under the veil. That is good.
Yeah.
Typically, that is good.
Would you say Jones is a CM though?
Yeah, I'd say he's a C. I'd say he's kind of like he's certainly not a six. He's an eight to
It
me.
may be a blessing in disguise almost. I don't know if he would play in the same position as Luka Modric, but I know Modric has been on fire so far. I have a bunch of my Croatian buddies. I haven't followed it too
Yeah,
much. They've all been like they follow all of them, and like they just said he's played almost like every minute. And he's been one of the best players. So I don't
no,
know. It may be a blessing in disguise.
like I'm Serbian, right? I'm probably supposed to hate the Croatian guy. I love him. Modric has been one of my favorite players to watch.
I feel like
Since he was
Modric
at
is the
Tottenham, he was
definition of
phenomenal,
fine aged wine. It's just Luka Modric.
phenomenal midfielder. Like, say what you want about the nostalgia, he goes above some of these all-time greats. He will go above some of them.
Oh yeah.
Now, we'd have to really think about it, about where he'd go. But Luka Modric is just a phenomenal, phenomenal footballer, and I won't hear any of it from anyone.
No,
Even
he's a
40,
baller.
but at
He's
the
a
level of 40,
baller.
oh my God, just phenomenal player. Why don't we take a look at a little bit of the UCL roundup, what we thought, what we kind of predicted going in. You know what I should bring up first because we'll get off this topic nice and quick, considering we talked so like a little bit at
I
the
need
end.
to hear one good thing about
The
Liverpool.
Bodo Glimt.
Yeah.
I don't need to say anything good about
Yeah.
it. The Bodo Glimt Magic just died. It just died. We called it Bodo Glimt Magic. And they couldn't get it done at Sporting. I felt bad for them. That was such a good story. I wish they could kept going, but I watched those highlights, and Sporting could have won it in regular time.
I saw Sporting score the fourth goal and I turned it off. It
I
was
felt
it
so
was
bad
it
for
was a
them.
bit of a gut wrencher. I felt bad, man. I mean, great story. I think because they're in the off season, right? So
Yeah,
kind of like with their league or whatever. But I mean, yeah, it's tough. They would have been playing. I think Arsenal. Yeah, would have been
they would have been
Arsenal.
playing Arsenal. Yeah, it'll be a somewhat decent next tie. I think Sporting's obviously a heavy
And
dog in that, but
yeah, I don't. It's a shame, but they'll be back. You know what? Who did they beat this year? They beat City.
they beat City, they beat Inter twice, and they beat Atleti. Right, so it's
That's not a
they're a
glitch.
phenomenal team. I mean, if Chelsea's transfer ban didn't come in, they would have splashed like 120 million on some random white guy we've never heard of. But there's no way
Yeah,
their players will be bought by bigger clubs. Let's put it that way. So it is tough to see that for them. They won't even be in the Champions League next year because they lost their league. Um, they lost to
really.
Viking. We,
Oh,
we talked about it last time. They lost to Viking. So it's tough to see the story end like that, but certainly something I'm not going to forget is how they got in here and how they really upset some of the bigger teams. Like that's a phenomenal story, no matter how it ended, and what a comeback from Sporting, right? Like they're still underdogs as well here. If they weren't playing Bodo, this would be seen as a huge upset
yeah.
because these Portuguese teams, most of the time, it would be a Porto or a Benfica making it here in the last 5 to 10 years. I know so because Liverpool's played them a lot in the latter stages of these competitions. But Sporting, great story for them. Um,
Huge, yeah. I don't know. Again, they were brilliant. There's not much else to dive into. You're 3-0 down, the mentality you got to have, obviously. And
yeah,
they played way better, too, I think, the home. Because I don't even think Portuguese League, I think they're like fourth right now. I'll be honest with you.
yeah. I saw Benfica. I actually saw that table today. I think Benfica's undefeated and they're in third. Mourinho's Benfica's undefeated and they're in third place because that's such a top heavy league in terms of financials and in history. Um, but good for them. It'll be tough for them against Arsenal, but I'm rooting for them. Um,
Yeah.
why don't we talk about a couple of the other 3-0 deficits that literally could not have gone differently to the Sporting game? City Madrid was one where I never thought they would come back, but obviously in the back of my head I probably thought City could do something with it. And then Bernardo gets that red card off the line.
I mean, it killed the game. I think everyone kind of knew. Vinny could have had a hat trick in the first half. I,
Yeah, it
I, I was, and then even then he had another goal called off because it was what Mbappe came on, and then it was 1-1 at that point. Like I think he scored in the 91st because I remember you and I were like yes, yes, and then
I
it
know.
got called off, and then like 2 minutes later, and then he scored, and I was like okay. I mean, it was probably deserved, and again, like Bellingham didn't even play too.
Yeah.
I thought he was gonna be back, but I guess not. And Mbappe, obviously, that's huge
You
for
probably
them.
don't you probably don't race him back if he's not 100% when you're up 3, right?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it just shows Mbappe was probably good to go considering he went on, and even though,
Yeah.
but yeah, no, they were. Arda Güler he was great too. Again,
Good little player, man. That'll be
yeah,
fun if Turkey can get to that World Cup. I know he was a fun watch at the Euros 2 years ago. So
but
he'll be
yeah,
a fun watch for
I
Turkey.
don't know. Vinny Jr. just seems to love to play against Man City. That's just
I
what
know.
I've.
And honestly, I thought, I don't love him as a player. I thought the goal that was disallowed, like chalked off before he scored the winner, where he like showed his jersey to the crowd. I thought it was a touch tasteless. I thought
Yeah,
it
I
was
think
tasteless.
it was behind the Roger Ballon d'Or because they did like a big
Oh, that's right. That's right. That's
they
right.
it was
Okay, I
something
get
about like be quiet or something like that. So he
it.
did like the be quiet because I mean you know what it's banter. He wasn't like if he went off and like he kicked the corner flag and then he did
Yeah.
it and all of that. It was right near the net. I mean to like these scores they're allowed to celebrate. I don't.
You win, you're allowed to do whatever you want, and I can't say
Yeah,
about it.
and again like it wasn't like it was like. I mean, I'm trying to remember. I don't think they were like when City beat Real Madrid because they've been going at it in the Champions League. It just feels like every year they're always seeing each other. It's like been pretty early on. I know there was the semifinals the one year. I think where City like destroyed them. I think both games. It was or was it COVID year maybe when there
Well,
was
Madrid's beat them 3 times in a row, whereas I think before that, City was dominating them.
it was penalties last year.
Yeah,
Penalties last year. Um, yeah, I don't. Again, 3-0 down. It's tough for Real Madrid no matter what, and obviously injuries, but that's why they're one of the best clubs. And
yeah.
I'm not surprised by the result, and it's a shame for City, but again, now it's just full focus on the. I think they're still in the FA Cup too. I don't know actually.
City, yeah, no, we
Yeah,
Liverpool play them
yeah,
uh,
yeah.
yeah, we had. That's going to be a big game for both teams, just considering what we have left to play for, and I don't think City can really hang their hat on winning the league this
Yeah.
season. So that's a big game for both. It's a big game for both. I think
Um,
seeing the Carabao Cup game today, like they could go and win both cup competitions for sure.
without a doubt. Um, but yeah, I was gonna Barca Newcastle. I'll be honest with you. I 7-2. I'll not really big surprise, and I think you said it best last week. That penalty that Lamal got, I think that was kind of like a
Killer.
big blow for Newcastle.
Yeah.
Um, Cam News, it's tough to go through, and again, Rafinha, Lamal, like Lewandowski, it's just here.
It's
Yeah,
tough, right? Like I stopped watching at half to watch another game, or I think I was just doing something for work, and I stopped watching at half, and I just thought, wow, this is a phenomenal game. This is a great game. Alonga scored a couple goals, given they were probably pretty easy takes, but in the Champions League away from home, those are big goals to get. And I thought Newcastle was handling themselves quite well. I just when you don't go into the what's it called, the Camp Nou with that lead after you fight so hard for that 1-0 lead, not being able to sit in and soak up some pressure first is tough for a team like Newcastle, who does not have the depth and does not really have the goal scorers. Now they did great to get back in the game first half.
like
But
it was 2 for a bit, was it not? I
sorry,
don't know. I think, was it 2-2 for a bit? Like I feel like it was like 1-0 Newcastle, it was 1-1. Then it was 2-1 Barca. Then I think it was 2-2, and then it was just the
it was
floodgate.
Barca got one right before the half ended to make it 3-2. And I think from that point on, I imagine the Barcelona players wanted to kill it off because Newcastle had equalized twice, right? And you have 45 minutes to go at the Camp Nou. It's not going to be easy. Given I didn't watch the second half, but my God, 7-2 is just a scoreline where probably when Barcelona
You could
scored,
tell the game up. It was
throw it forward, and then it just piles because they have too much quality. They have too much quality to leave so much space in behind.
yeah, like even Newcastle's like I know one of the Newcastle's the Mall did like a back heel and gave it away, and it was just a quick counter attack and
Yeah.
and a tap in.
Mm.
But yeah, I don't know. I thought Lewis Hall played well.
It's
I know they
okay.
lost. I know they conceded 7,
He's
but
7. I thought he played well, but this is something where I think now you look at Barca and you think they got eliminated out of the Copa del Rey to Atleti. They're going to go face Atleti again. I don't think we really need to cover the Atleti Spurs one. That thing was done in the first leg. Um,
yeah,
but right now, I think I'd heavily favor Barca to go through in that. I mean, going off of what happened in the second leg where Barcelona almost came back from a 4-goal deficit, I think this Barcelona team will be out for blood. And they are leading the Spanish league by a healthy-ish margin, 8 points. That's
yeah.
uh,
Lewandowski's getting into form now too.
and,
Finally, that
and
guy just needs to stay
yeah,
fit.
and
That's literally his Barca career. It's just been one of those that just he cannot stay fit. That's just been his problem. And
yeah,
again, even with his age, he is still world class. Like I still think he's world class in my opinion. If he's fit and he's consistently playing, because when he comes back from injury, anyone, it's going to take a bit of time to get back up to that level.
mhm.
Um, yeah, I don't know. Rafinha is just firing on all pistons as well. That guy's
They have a good balance, man. I think the only thing they're missing is a really great defense, like sturdy, great defense. Before we can say like, oh, they're a favorite to win this or that, because they are like Araujo. I think is a bit of a flight risk. I think he's athletic. I think he's smart on the ball. I think he does have a little bit of those moments where you're like, what was going through his mind there? Um, and for the rest of them, I'm just not. I'm not sold on Barcelona defensively. Offensively, they are as dangerous as anyone in Europe, right?
yeah.
So you go to Atletico, I think they'll get past that. And then I would love to see Barcelona Arsenal because I think that is the contrasting styles you need to see in a semifinal. I think that'll be a lot of fun to watch.
But I also think that's where Barca though, like on set pieces, Arsenal will. Yeah, I
All
don't.
over them, right? Like defensively, can they defend the set pieces well enough? And it's sad that we're kind of talking about how important set pieces are in this regard. But Arsenal absolutely could win this Champions League by having the right set pieces, by scoring in the right moments. Like that's all these ties can be defined by when they're two close teams in quality, right? Is when do you score? How do you score? Can the other team get it back? Have you killed the momentum for the other team? Um,
Yeah, Arsenal again. I believe they are free kick corner merchants, but at the same time, I will give them as much as I dislike them. I will give them the praise that they have won games, and it's not. Yes, there may have been a couple flukes in there, but they're like it's you got to give it to them, and that's why I don't like watching them. I think it's boring. I think it's just.
yeah,
I think a lot of teams are kind of trying to adapt that style, and I think that's why I think it was Anthony Gordon said like in a press conference, he's like, it's when he played Barca and all this, it's like actual football. Like you're playing, and it's like a different tactical view on the game, and then you're playing these other teams in the Premier League, and again, it's just like
yeah,
it's aerial duels. Who can
different.
win the second ball, and that's just what it's turned into.
Absolutely.
Um,
The contrasting styles of either team, Barcelona and Arsenal. I mean, Barcelona's probably just not going to be used to what Arsenal's going to bring here. So I think it'll be a fun tie. I think that's where it's heading. I don't know if Sporting can get over Arsenal, but again, like we saw today, Arsenal have these bad performances in them where they get too reliant on sitting back. So it's going to be an interesting one, right? I'm intrigued to see how Arsenal finish this season now that this sort of I hate this term, the quad chase. I don't think it was ever really on to begin with. I think that's just you have when the team is firing and they're killing teams, maybe you'd think that. But if they're squeezing results out, I just don't think it was ever realistic. I think
Again, with how good Liverpool's been, though.
I don't think it was realistic.
Yeah, again, you could say it though, considering everything they've won and all of that. But I don't know, like the UCL, I think we have some the quarterfinals. We have some like Real Madrid Bayern. That's you can't ask for anything better than that because as long as they're healthy,
Mhm.
that is going to be a cracking tie.
That's a vintage one too, right? That's one of those vintage ties you think back,
Ronaldo,
where you can think back to the yeah exactly like the Ronaldo counterattack goal, like Barcelona Real Madrid, Barcelona Bayern, Real Madrid Bayern, those sorts of ties I feel like are like imprinted on my memory from when I was in high school or college.
oh, I remember. Do you remember? I think it was because Ronaldo scored it was like the 50th goal or something in the UCL, or it was something like that, and then he scored the free kick too.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, underneath and then it was like the Bale. It was Bale to or Benzema to Bale, and then Bale all the way through, and then he like sweated it across, and then I just remember Marcelo lighting up Bayern too, and
Hmm.
I mean here actually Bayern Atlanta. I don't know. Did you watch the game?
The Bayern game? No, no, no. That tie was done, right? Like it.
Yeah, there's not much to say. Elise, Kane. I don't actually. I don't think Elise played. Actually, I don't know.
They had that
But
kid in there. They had the
yeah,
kid who started because they had all their goalkeepers. They had like 47 goalkeepers injured. I think it's
Kane
a
missed a pen.
fascinating story if that was a close tie.
Yeah, Kane missed a pen, but that was pretty much it.
Yeah, I think there's one thing maybe we want to touch on here. That's to finish it off. We were talking about it midweek, and it's just bizarre. It's AFCON rewarding Morocco their championship. I couldn't really wrap my head around it when I saw it. I still don't really get it. I understand the reason they've given, but I don't think that's
I
anything.
haven't seen any. I've seen on social media all of the Senegalese players saying, "No, we went on the pitch. We're doing all this." I haven't seen any Moroccan players post anything like it.
Why would they?
Take and again, if I was in their shoes, I wouldn't want it. We lost.
No, I wouldn't want like absolutely not. I'm not posting nothing. I'm not celebrating anything. And this is I don't know if you saw this come up on your feed or in the news at all. But Guinea had the exact same thing happen, I think either in the 70s or 80s, where the opposing team walked off for 7 or 8 minutes and they never got awarded this. So what this does to give it to Morocco is sets a really dangerous precedent that you can overturn results 3 months or X amount of time after the final whistle's gone. I mean, no one's ever going to think about this year's AFCON winners as Morocco. No one's going to. I,
Yeah,
I know
it's
what Senegal
tough.
did was probably wrong. They disagree with the decision. Whatever. If you are going to penalize them, you're going to do it right there and then. Your refs are going to know the rules and they're going to do it right there and then. But if they don't, you can't go back and give it 3 months later to the other
No,
team.
I think
It's
first of
precedent
all,
for sports.
I think this is a higher up thing. I don't think this is the players going. Look,
Yeah.
like ball don't lie, Brahim. He missed the penalty. That's
Yeah.
just the way. It's the way it goes. You feel terrible for him, but I don't think this is the players asking for this. And I think the only like kind of
Yeah.
similar. I don't know if this is a weird analogy, but it's kind of like the situation of like you win a gold medal and
Mhm.
like you get silver and like you know what, I got silver, I didn't win the gold. I feel like it's not the same feeling, but it's almost like you find out like the first person like they're doping or something, and
Yeah.
it's different. It's like biking, you can go Lance Armstrong and all of that, but this is like completely different. Like you straight up lost on the pitch, and it's
Yeah.
like there wasn't anything besides like a protest on a penalty, and like yes, like you're in the final, I get it, but like for how long? And I think like right here it says during the final match against Morocco, Senegal originally won 1-0, and they walked off the field in the final minutes to protest a penalty decision, causing a 17-minute delay. You
Yeah.
can't give the trophy to another team solely because there was a delay because they wouldn't play.
Enough
Like,
three.
look, if they didn't come back, it's
Yeah.
different. If they didn't come back on the field and like, nope, we're done, we're not playing. Okay, you know what? You don't want to play, that's fine. But they did
Mhm.
leave it, and I think I saw Senegal like brought it to like the army, like is there like the trophies like with the army.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put a picture of it because it was the photo was pretty hard. But
You're
yeah,
gonna go
I
to war
know.
about about that trophy. Yeah, I just think it sets a really dangerous precedent for sports. If it were, and this is not to get on AFCON because I have preconceptions about how they are. This is about criticizing AFCON based on just this sole decision. I mean, the relevance that they're going to have, uh, the reputation that they're going to have is in tatters. Who's going to trust AFCON? Who's going to watch AFCON now as a neutral, knowing that they're going to do these sorts of things? We already kind of understand that there may be some corruption within these African organizations. I understand that because I remember FIFA when the award of the South African World Cup happened, that it happened through bribes. And I'm not saying that doesn't happen in different continents, but we just there is public knowledge that there is corruption within some of these African institutions, right? Because the money's there, and FIFA is possibly one of the most corrupt nonprofits on the planet. But to think AFCON can change its decision 3 months after is insane. It's
Yeah,
insane. It's insane to think that the Moroccan players will accept it properly. You know what the crazy thing is? The Moroccan head coach isn't their head coach anymore. The guy who led them to the semifinals, the guy who coached them in the final, he left his position 3 weeks prior to this decision being made. So
This should have all been done.
this. I don't know.
It
I
should have
don't
all
know.
been done behind closed doors, in my opinion. Like if and then you
Ah,
announce it if it like but even then it shouldn't it should never have gone to that point. But I'm with you on it. It's ridiculous. And again, I don't think the Moroccan players want it. I don't actually think this is going to hold because I think they are. Yeah, Senegal's contesting it. I'm pretty sure.
yeah,
Which they should, and I think it's going to go to court. And then, if anything, I don't know. But again, this is I think another power trip of higher ups going
yes.
on there. Again, I can say my opinion on it and all of that. That may not be the case, but I don't think the Moroccans are like. Again, it would be like you could go back to like it's like France. France
Yeah.
lose the World Cup final to Argentina, and 3 months later they're like, oh, you know what? We thought because this happened, we should get
Yeah.
the trophy now. No one wants to win a trophy that way, especially a big
No.
international tournament like this. The
Yeah.
players don't want that, and even if it does get overturned, I don't even think the Moroccans are going to say that they won. It's
I
and you've
think
seen all the players, the Everton player, and what's his name again? I think, but again, it's been all over social media, and he said to the cameras like Senegal or the AFCON champions. So, and I'm with them on it. I get it. I get it.
and the way maybe that brings up a broader question of what do you do when these institutions find something. Say it's not this situation, but they find out elements of cheating, like the Houston Astros, for instance. The Houston Astros had an elaborate cheating scheme. They won the World Series twice. I think it only happened once when they were cheating. There's other forms of cheating where you have to repeal it. I think you have to repeal that championship, but you can't give it to someone else because no one is going to accept a championship that way. Like for City, for instance, right? Their 100 and whatever charges are coming up. I, as a Liverpool fan, do not care to have those Premier Leagues. I don't care.
We lost on
I remember how I felt when we lost it. I remember the moment. I remember the season. It didn't take away from the fact that I really loved that season. And it doesn't add anything to say that now we win it. Because I don't, at the moment, it didn't feel like we won it. Why would I want to feel like that? Right?
I think it's the players too. There's no emotional connection to it. The Moroccans aren't going to be emotionally.
No.
Oh, I'm an Afcon champion. It's like also if you think about it, like what are you going to do a parade now?
Yeah.
Senegal did a
And how
a
can they have,
full blown parade too.
yeah.
It's just like I think the biggest thing is the players piece is the lack of connection like that they'd have to it. Again, for me,
Mm.
like any high level sports or anyone plays, like you want to win it outright, you want to win it properly. And again, like if you find out there's doping and they're using a certain drug that's giving them performance enhancements and all that, okay,
Mm.
let's have a discussion. If there's real problems, you replay it. I think I'm so against just handing it over after like you lose like on the actual field.
And you know what's funny? I completely agree with you, right? And you know what's funny? We're trying to equate this to something. It's purely impossible to equate this. Like this is like a section B345. This is a very very precise rule that really hasn't come out before. And this isn't elements of cheating. This is like when you think down to it on a human level. Elements of cheating is you cheat at sports, you cook the books, financially you bend the rules, you field players who are
Ineligible and
having taking PEDs, like that's what we think of as cheating, right? I do not think of the Senegalese team leaving the field as cheating. I think of it as something you shouldn't do. Personally, I wouldn't do it if I were a coach. But AFCON has proven that this stuff is like you can get away with this stuff, right? So
like
like what Senegal did, another team would do, and another team has done it in the past, and the other team didn't get awarded the championship in that case. So now if you give it to Morocco, you have to go back to the 70s or 80s when Guinea has the exact same appeal. You're not going to have a bunch of people coming out of the woodwork launching cases that I don't even know if AFCON themselves can enforce. So this is a whole thing where I don't know where they go from here because I've never seen something like this in sport.
I also found yeah, I know Fabrizio tweeted it, but I felt like it didn't get like the coverage I thought it was gonna get. Like I thought it would be like blown up like way more, like a lot more. Like I know some of the Senegalese players have like posted about it, but I feel like it's just been kind of like looming under the radar a little bit. But I also think it shows you in the sense people are like, okay, this is ridiculous. Like
Yeah,
let's and again, if they actually end up giving it to Morocco, like, and this is also not a good look going into the World Cup. I
no.
think too, just in general, that like this type of thing could happen again. obviously this is like different. It's happening months after.
Different governing body. Yeah.
But it's just
I
like
get it.
now what's going to happen if there's, let's just say, I mean, this is why I also think you have VAR, you have all these other things, and VAR is a whole other thing. But it's like, what are we going to do in a group stage game? Okay, there was a handball, should have been called. We should have had a penalty. That team that should have had the penalty doesn't go through, and the other team goes through, and then it's like, okay, well, what? You can't just disqualify them now.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. You're setting a precedent by doing this. You can change the results of games solely off of what has already happened, and it is wrong.
You know, like look back at. I'm a Liverpool fan, so I'm gonna quote something from reference something from the Liverpool game. Remember when Luis Diaz got called offside? The VAR took a look and cleared it, despite the fact he was heavily onside. Do you remember that? Liverpool Spurs? It was a couple of years ago. It was a huge thing that happened, and everyone had their say in it. At the end of the day, that has more validity to be overturned and replayed, but it didn't. You know why? Because you can't go back and replay these games. Human error is a part of sport. A part of sport. If it's not called at that very moment using VAR or the referee on field, it's gone. You can't go back. And let alone this, where you can't go back 3 months and award it to someone else.
If this was going to happen, it should have happened during the game. The ref should have been like, you know what? They can't do this. I'm for it. Like, the game's called. And look, that would have been like a hot topic, and that would have been another like crazy thing. But if this whole thing, we shouldn't even be talking about this.
Yeah,
we should not even.
Exactly. Yeah. But if he does it in the moment and then cites the exact rule because they won't come back out on the field, we have way less to argue about. We've way less because then we wouldn't be opening up a can of worms because teams don't just leave the field that often. How often does that happen where a team leaves the field or an individual sport leaves the field to play? It doesn't happen. So if he had to call it based on the rules that he should know, then there it is. They get awarded it right there and then. And that's, we would have much weaker feelings towards it than going back 3 months and awarding it to a team who lost. I don't want to think it. No one's ever. The reason I think that a lot of people don't bring this up or hasn't gotten blown up is people aren't taking it seriously. People aren't taking it seriously. People look at this decision and go, that's wrong from a human level. There's nothing that's going to make me emotionally think differently about this year's AFCON, right?
The Moroccans don't care. I can tell you for free probably that they don't want it, and But again, it'll be interesting to see what happens. But yeah, I think there's, like you've said, there's really not much else to say. And Senegal won the AFCON, and it's on to the next thing. And Morocco again. Morocco, what they made it to was it the semis? The last World Cup semis? Yeah,
they made it to the semis. They real landmark for them. They have a great team. They should
hope the politics
by this story going into the World Cup.
Yeah, let's just hope the politics side of this is let's just move on and
absolutely
let the play on the field do the talking. So
let Sadio Mane have his second, man. God's sake.
So.
Okay, I think that's about all the topics we wanted to cover. We weren't nearly as long as last time, maybe about 10 minutes off, but I think we covered all the topics of the week.
The big international break. Huh?
Anything to close for you? Like you talking about international break a little bit?
Yeah, I think for the biggest thing will be I'm going to be following Canada for the most part and England and all of that. It'll be interesting to see, and obviously Canadians. I think we're missing like Alphonso Davies, and I think if I were a player and I was missing the last few matches to play before going into World Cup, I think that's frustrating. It'll be interesting to see where Canada's at. Same as England. I'm going to try and watch them. But no, I'm excited, and so we'll see.
It'll be fun to watch the European games and see who gets in, right? Because as much as we want to watch Canada, we also want to see who they're going to play first. Because I don't think Italy's just nailed on team in that competition. I don't think you can assume that about the Italians the way they play right now.
No.
And another thing, maybe one thing I'm interested to hear in the coming weeks is who's taking Iran's place. Because as bad as this story is, like, who's going to take that place in the World Cup? But that's a topic for another time.
No, I guess I just want to end it with Spurs are going down.
Yeah,
I have nothing else to say.
I'd love nothing else to say. Just the experiment of it would be fun. But
yeah. Awesome.
All right, thanks
for
guys.
watching.
See you later.